I've got 5 metal guitar techniques I'm going to share with you in this video. We'll go through some examples. I'll show you how you can approach these to take your metal riffs to a completely new dimension. This first technique you might think of being used just in leads and guitar solos, but if you throw this technique, hammer-ons and pull-offs, if you throw these into your rhythms, it can really take everything to the next level and kind of break you out of the boredom of just playing simple power chords and single note riffs. What we're doing is just hammering down on a note and pulling off. It's as simple as that. So I'll give an example here. I'm on the D string, we're on frets 7, and we're going to hammer down on the 8th fret and then pull off so that that 7th fret resonates. I'm in standard tuning, by the way. Now we can make that a little bit more interesting. Let's add just the open A string. Let's palm mute that in between. Let's go up and do the same thing. We'll keep the palm muting on the open string and we'll go 5 and 7. Now let's take this one step further. Let's go back to the 7th and 8th fret where we started, and I'm going to walk down a little bit over some of the hammer-on pull-offs we just did, but I'm going to add a little flavor to it. I'm going to add something a little bit different. What we did this time is we took the hammer-on and pull-off one step further and actually pulled off to the open D string. So this is what we did. And all you're doing different here, you're still doing this part, but you're just rolling that finger off of that fret so that the open string resonates. I also encourage you to add some more things to that. Like if you want to just go into some simple power chords or maybe a progression, kind of mix it up a little bit. But again, the hammer-ons and pull-offs, this is a great technique to throw into your rhythms to really make things a little bit more powerful and just give it a whole different dimension. Now this is another technique that you might not think about, or at least that often when it comes to playing metal rhythms, and that's arpeggiating the notes. Instead of just playing the full-on power chords or even playing single note riffs, it's arpeggiating these almost like you're playing a chord. And I'll tell you this right now, this is a great way to differentiate your rhythms. So if you feel stuck, you're writing something and it's like, man, everything is just kind of sounding the same. Well, this is one of those techniques that you can throw in. And I think this will really ignite your creativity for one, and it just gives you something different and something unique. So again, all we're doing here and what I just played is really just the beginning is just based on a bar chord, an E minor bar chord. And I just arpeggiated starting with the B string up through, I went B, D, and G. Now you can arpeggiate the entire chord. And then you can carry that over into some other chords and some other shapes, like you heard this earlier when I was just playing the intro here. So there, I didn't play a traditional chord, and I just use this as an example to show you how you can just kind of branch out and make this happen pretty much anywhere, any way you want it, right? I didn't play a traditional bar chord or a traditional chord. I took the 3rd fret of the A string, that's our C note there, and then we went 4th fret with the D string, and I left the G string open. And I just moved that up to the 5th fret of the A string and kept the other 2 notes the same. It's just something that you can throw in from time to time, or if you even want to base that entire song off that, it's just a different thing that you can do outside kind of the norm of what we're used to playing. This is another technique that you might think about more so when it comes to guitar solos and not so much your rhythms, and that's string skipping. And string skipping is a fairly simple concept. You're just literally skipping a string. So if you play a note on the A string, your next note, to make it string skipping, you're going to skip over the D string and play something on the G string, right? So at that tail end there, I palm muted that second fret of the A string, that B note. I palm muted that note before going to the G string to play this. Another way you can use this is you can play two notes at the same time, and this is a very common way that people use string skipping. And in this case, all I'm doing here is I've got that A string second fret, right? The next note I'm actually going to play is the G string fourth fret. So those are the same notes. And then you can just move that around, and you've heard this, of course, a gazillion times, especially on guitar solos, but you probably heard it in some rhythms as well. And that's really the core reason why I'm sharing these techniques. I just want to give you some things to think about that can sort of break you out of that rut, especially when you're writing your own riffs, which I strongly encourage you to do. Write your own stuff. That's the best stuff. This is a cool technique, and it's fairly simple. The concept is simple. It's just really fast alternate picking, but we also call this tremolo picking. And this is going to take you into some darker, more sinister territory. Let's start with just a really simple exercise for tremolo picking. Before we do that, though, I want to share another little tip that I use. I'd give it just a super light palm mute, and I'm sort of constantly bringing my palm off of the bridge and back on, but just a super light palm mute, because I don't want those notes to ring out. You don't really want this. I mean, you may want it, but I don't prefer to play like this. I mean, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I kind of prefer something like this effect a little bit more. That sounds a little bit tighter to me. Again, there's no wrong or right answer here. You can approach this however you want. And I always encourage you to take a different approach. If everyone else is doing it this way, then maybe just do it a completely different way to get a different sound. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I'm just sharing some tips. If you want the effect like you just heard, just a little bit tighter, you can just give it a super light palm mute and kind of bring it, off and on the bridge there. So let me give you just a quick exercise. You can practice this technique, and this will help you nail this technique down if you just go over and over. And of course, you can branch out and add more notes later. And one last tip with tremolo picking is you don't necessarily have to have an aggressive approach to this. In fact, I don't have an aggressive approach at all, even if it looks like it. My hands are very relaxed when I'm playing, and that just saves your strength. I think that just adds to your dexterity, right? So if that's something you think that might be giving you trouble, just in your mind, mentally, just be relaxed. Just relax your hands and allow things to flow. my personal favorite techniques for rhythm, and which is why I saved this for last, is the galloping technique. I'm going to show you how to take this technique to that next level. But first, if you don't know what galloping is, it's just really a 1, 2, 3 alternate pick. It's a quick alternate pick. I call them quick picks, right? So it's down, up, down. I mean, you can reverse that if you want, but it's like this. That's all. That's it. 1, 2, 3. And there's a slight pause before going to whatever it is that you're going to go to next, but that's considered the gallop. Of course, you want to add more notes to that. You want to add some other flavors to that, if you will, right? And one of the things that's common is to add some downstrokes to that gallop. So let's do 2 downstrokes, then do the gallop. So you heard that, 2 downstrokes followed by the gallop. And of course you can add downstrokes after the gallop. If you want to pause and just practice those, feel free to do that. That's what these videos are all about. But here's the next level gallop. And well, let's just hear this. Let's watch what I'm playing here, and then I'll break down what I'm doing. Now, the only gallop was that first part. I started out with that. But what you may have noticed is I changed notes mid-gallop. When we're doing this here, we hung on that same note, just that open E string, but here, I changed notes almost mid-gallop, a little more than mid-gallop, because you've got like 3, right? Down, up, down. What I'm doing in this case is I'm playing down, up, and then the next down, the final downstroke, I'm changing notes to the 5th fret. So get that down, and then you can practice this little riff here. And those other notes, pretty simple. We've got an open E string there, of course, and then we're playing the 3rd and 2nd fret as well. And that's when I'll sneak these little, we'll call them like next level gallops. I'll just kind of sneak them into the rhythms at times, right? You won't even really notice it, but you'll hear it. It's like, okay, that was a gallop. That was that really cool technique, but something a little bit different happened there, right? So there we did the same thing. I just did it, with different frets. I'm on the A string now, and we're going from 8 to 7. And then I chose just to gallop that one note that we landed on there, the A string 4th fret. So that's just one of many ways you can use this next level galloping technique. So I definitely encourage you to incorporate that into some of your riffs. It can really change things up. If you want more riffs to practice with tabs and backing tracks and more techniques, then grab a free copy of Metal Riffs and Licks. This is my ultimate metal guitar practice guide, and it has literally helped thousands of guitar players get to their next level. Now I also include some licks, of course, Metal Riffs and Licks. There's a little touch of theory, and there's even a chapter on writing your own riffs. Grab a copy of that. I give this away to all my YouTube subscribers. There's a link in the description of the video. Now, if you already have Metal Riffs and Licks and you've watched my videos, my style of teaching resonates with you, then consider joining the Jason Stallworth Guitar Academy. I would love to see you in there. So we covered hammer-ons and pull-offs first, and again, you might think of that as being reserved for guitar solos, but no, you see how we can implement this into the rhythms to really make things just monstrous. I mean, this can change everything about your rhythms. We also covered arpeggiating notes, arpeggiating even chord structures like a bar chord or even a full chord or just a few notes. This is something that can differentiate your rhythms from anything else that you're hearing out there, and especially if you're writing like the same types of riffs over and over. Well, this is a technique you can throw in that will take your riff to a new dimension, and it might be refreshing to do that. We also covered arpeggiating your notes. This is something that can really spice up your rhythms, especially if you feel stuck, if you're like, man, I just keep writing the same stuff over and over, single note riffs, power chords. Well, try arpeggiating some of those notes and see where that takes your riff. Next, we covered string skipping, another technique that you may think of when it comes to guitar solos, but of course you can use string skipping in rhythms, and it's a great way to, one, change up the single notes that you're playing. It can just give some new flavors across the fretboard. It's like, okay, I didn't think about that. And you can also, remember, you can also play the two notes at the same time while skipping that string. That can sometimes bring out a really cool melody in your rhythms. Then we went into the darker depths with the tremolo picking. This style, as I described earlier, it really just brings out something different. And if you're craving something different, if you're just like, man, I just want to write something else that's just different from what I've been writing, well, this is a great technique to throw in. You'll be surprised at where this takes you throughout the fretboard. You're going to be inspired to play some different notes. Lastly, we talked about galloping, one of my personal favorite techniques to use in my metal riffs. Now, we also went to that next level of galloping where we're changing notes mid-gallop, and this is something that's really cool to add to your single note riffs, and of course just chugging away on those gallops as well can sound really cool and bring your riffs to a completely different dimension. Now let me know your favorite metal guitar technique of the 5 that we covered in the comments. I'd love to hear that, and hey, go back to this video and practice this. I've got the timeline in the description, so practice the ones that you're having the most trouble with or the ones that inspire you the most. Just go over that and see what you can come up with each of these techniques. You know, I strongly encourage you, I always encourage you to write your own riffs. The best riffs are the ones that you write. So I encourage you to keep at it, go back through these, and don't forget to check out the links in the description I talked about earlier. Thanks for watching the video. As always, keep it metal and keep playing music.